This conference will now be recorded.
Hey guys, how's it going?
I do.
All right, all right.
Good.
Hey, if I could get y'all to mute your mics if you're not active, that'd be good. That way we can cut down on some of the feedback. Appreciate it. So, how's everybody doing?
Been a rainy week, but okay.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, we're in for some really bad stuff here in the next few hours. So I've got my eye on the radar right now. So, let's
Waiting
see.
on a machine.
Yeah, that's always fun, isn't it?
It is. It's made it from California to Texas.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully it'll get there quickly. So I know the logistics sounds like it's weird sometimes, and I really don't understand it. I know we've talked about it before, because we ship them the same way. It's the same machines we've been sending for years and years and years and years, and never really had that many problems. And you may have seen that post the other day where they pulled that 63 out with the pallet jack. One guy, with a regular Tommy lift or lift gate, and rolled it right in their garage. So sometimes it goes smooth and sometimes it doesn't, I guess.
Yeah, that's the way my 51 was. Literally, the truck driver was, from the time he dropped put the brake on to left was less than 10 minutes, and it was sitting in my
Yeah,
garage.
yeah. So mine went smooth, thankfully. So, but evidently that's not always the case. So let's see. Trying to see if there's anybody new. Kevin, I'm not sure if I've seen you on here before. There may be a few others. So if you're new, feel free to jump right in. And if you have any questions or comments, we'd be glad to hear from you. So I'll show you what, and I put it on the thing last night, but we've had some people asking about corporate compliance and that kind of thing. And up to now, we haven't really looked it over much, but I've got some examples, a rough, some links and some information to help with those people that need that stuff. So if you're in a public facing environment like a library or a school or a makerspace or something like that, you may want to at least look through these OSHA things and make sure that, in case something, unfortunately bad happens, you don't want to get caught with your pants down. So that may be helpful to some people. We'll expand on this as we learn more about it. So that's one of the things that we're working on. So, and looks like Jason's on. Awesome. Made it again. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Fixing that 51 alignment was not easy.
Oh, yeah? Was the
An hour
alignment
and
out
a
of
half.
whack? Yeah.
Yeah. And it was still off by about a fourth afterwards, but at least it was working much better for them.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Cool beans. So what's up, Glenn? How are you? All right. All right. Okay. Well, hey, Andy, how's it going? Looks like you may be new on here.
I am. This is my first time. I've been watching all your videos on YouTube, trying to get caught up and learning. I placed the order December 31st and just got notification that they need a final payment, so that will be happening here shortly.
Oh, yeah.
But just want to hop on and kind of
Cool.
get more input.
Glad you could join us. Do you have any questions or anything?
Not as of yet. My wife's a graphic designer by trade. She's the designer of everything. I just pushed a button. But she's used to Adobe Suite and all those programs, but she's never dealt with Lightburn, so she's kind of skeptical about how it'll translate to it.
Gotcha. Yeah, very easily, and she'll pick it up quick. But you can go to our support site and I think just search for 1HR 1 hour. Let's see. No, let's look up training. There's 1 hour initial training session, and then there's calendars here. There should be. Yeah, there we go. See, there's 2 calendars, one for me and one for Chris, and we've each got different times. So you can go in and sign up for your 1 hour. And if you want us to record it, we can. And that way you can have it, as evergreen content. You can go back and refer to it, So
Okay.
if you guys want to sign up for that, I'll be glad to give her a crash course on Lightburn. I think she'll be very, very thrilled.
Okay. Can we do that? Is that something I should do until I get the laser, just so we can actually have practice on it,
Yeah.
or is it?
Yeah, typically the way that works is we like to get everybody as far along in the process as they can, because the majority of people don't even read the manual. They just put the thing together and it works, so that's fortunate. And then if you run
There's
into
a
something, you
manual?
can always shoot it. Yeah, there is. I call it affectionately the Book of Thunder. So, and then there's, you can always email support if you run into something that you don't really maybe need a 30-minute session for, or don't want to waste your hour on, answer questions the normal way, we can do through that. But yeah, absolutely. It's best when you're set up. That way we can actually go in and read the machine, configuration and all that stuff and check it out.
Right. She has we have a 2-story home. She works out of her office in the 2nd floor, so we'll be using the laser in the garage. Would her designing an iMac, and then how would you suggest we transfer it over to the laser?
There's a number of ways that you can do that, and one of the ways is using UDisk, where you just put it on a thumb drive out of Lightburn, and then you just plug the thumb drive right into the side of the laser. And I've got a little video about how that happens.
So it'd be nice if somebody did a new video on that.
On the UDisk.
Yeah, like if they did one yesterday, would be real nice. Huh?
Oh, it would be. It would be, and it so happens that we found one.
Yeah.
So, and you can also network it if you want to, hook it up to your network. Now, we never encourage running it remotely,
Yeah.
for obvious reasons. But you can network it. You could have a second computer down there that's dedicated to it. And if you're going to use like a Lightburn camera or something like that, that's very handy, because also if you need to change something real quick to your design, you can do it right there in Lightburn. You don't have to walk all the way back upstairs and go to your computer and then come back down with it. So there's that option as well. You can even use Dropbox or OneDrive or a network drive or any kind of share like that, and keep all your files on a share. And that way they're all updated and synced in real time. That way you can use them across multiple computers. I've got 3 lasers and about 5 computers, and they all run each other. So just using Dropbox and that kind of thing. So.
Okay. I think she's a computer person, so I'm more mechanical, more hands-on. So I think it'll be easier for her to understand all.
And I'll be glad to talk to y'all or her about that if you want, about the best solution to be able to facilitate that, for your specific application. So that won't be a problem.
Okay. And then I've been reading up on Lightburn, and I noticed that the new update that they released, it wasn't working on Apple. So is that just something, whenever an update comes out, just wait for Apple?
No. Okay. No, because he fixed that pretty much immediately after it happened and pushed out that new release. So if it's something critical like that, they're usually Johnny on the spot as far as that goes. So I'm not ever scared to do an update. No. And worst case, you can always roll back. Yep. So.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, I think that's all I got for now.
Andy, one thing I will mention, if you've just got notification for your final payment, right, go ahead and download Lightburn. It comes with a 30-day trial, right? You'll get your key, let your trial expire, and then you can activate it, right? That way you keep your 1-year activation after that. But your wife can start playing with it. You can start playing with it if you're going to be running the laser and doing more of the hands-on stuff. So you can at least, get the muscle memory, learn the menus where things are at, and actually, import things from Adobe programs, and get a little bit of screen time while you wait on your laser to come in.
Okay, that's good. I was noticing the libraries that, as far as like settings go, obviously those are going to be generic and they're going to change. So it's just like a starting point. So do you usually just start off with those, or do you just create your own settings? Like, say if I were to engrave into a cutting board or a piece of wood.
So a lot of it is a little trial and error. And I linked when we were talking about the mock trial setup. You can go ahead and set Lightburn up to match your laser. And I put the link to this article that's showing in the chat. So you can have that if you want to, you know, back to what he was talking about.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Yep, and as far as the starting, so if you're going to do a cutting board, for example, you got a 1-inch thick walnut cutting board, right, or some hardwood, you can go into your material library settings starting file, right, and what I would do is plan on having a sample of whatever the type of wood you're going to cut into, right? Have a sample and go do a sample test file, right? And he's going to show you the link. There's actually that O2 Creative one is quite a nice one to generate your file for you as well.
It's in the chat as well.
Yep. Because that's something is there's not a right or a wrong setting, right? You know, there's different settings. Some people like a darker engrave or a lighter or a deeper or shallower, right? So you know, each person might have a slightly different preference, or you might want a darker engrave on a lighter wood versus a darker wood. So
right. Okay, that makes sense. Cool. Thank you.
So, all right. And I think somebody had a question in the chat. And you're welcome just to jump in anytime if you have questions. How are you? Sure,
Hi.
please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Bashi.
Hi, Bashi.
I live in Maryland for the last 30 plus years. I'm originally from Europe. I'm sure you will guess the accent in a few minutes. And I'm retired. I'm close to 70. I was in the corporate world, and in the last 10 years, I have been becoming a happy woodworker. I got a larger CNC about 5 years ago, so I'm quite that I start to master. I build cabinets and so on. I'm also on the side having an organic farm about 60 miles from my main residence, producing Asian pear for the ones that know them. So I go to local market, and I really don't do that for the money. I'm lucky not to be in a big need. My kids are self-sufficient now, and my wife takes care of herself and me. So I'm trying to play with my last chapter, and my issue is, and I would like to buy a laser. Sorry for the long introduction, but it will help in the guidance you may give me.
Sure, absolutely.
I'm a bit of doing everything. Managing a farm make me drive big tractors, and woodworking may help me to use all kind of tools. And I always like to, even if my original field is not that. I've been an engineer by training, but I spent my life in international development and international banking, working for big corporations. So I thought first of buying the Nova 24.
Okay.
I thought, and my son was recommending that. But I realized that the bed is only 24 by 12. And if I want to decorate some kitchen panel or do things a bit larger,
sure,
it may be a limit. And I saw that for a little more money, I can get to the model 35, which has a bit more power with 80 watt effective, I understood, residue, which I like very much. And now trying to look at the video, I saw a couple of things that make me completely unclear. By the way, I've tried to place an order with Grant already.
Okay.
But the 35 is 4 months away almost, which is a very long time. So mid-time, I can think of what will be better. The issue is the following.
Okay.
I have space in my workshop. I have the whole basement of a large house, so I'm lucky. However, will be limited by putting the thing inside, and I have to go around the house on grass. So I think first I will have to rent kind of a bobcat or something like that to carry it. Second, I was thinking, because I work with a lot of plywood, I was thinking that maybe the 51, now that we are there, maybe even better than the 35. I don't know. So I'm a bit confused, and any guidance you can give me will be highly appreciated. For moving the thing to my basement, there is no stair involved.
Okay.
Second, what people are doing that, what will be is there a large difference of space between the 31 and the 51 in terms of taking space, in
Right.
its final location?
Mhm.
I will stop here. Thank you
So
for the guidance.
sure, and as we talked before, physically the machines are almost identical as far as the components and that kind of thing. So really, the difference is the power, and of course the physical dimensions. As far as how much space they take up, um, the Nova 3580 is 1500 millimeters long, and I don't have that one converted to inches yet. That was something I was trying to do in here.
Not 15 millimeter, 150 centimeter. I'm born in a.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't have a problem with it, right? An engineer and from Europe, so he'll be fine.
No,
Right.
I prefer. I'm sorry for my friend American, even if I'm now an American. I prefer the metric system by far. To divide and to multiply by 10 is not too complex for me, for my little brain.
See, 25.4.
So now, you made a good point with the Nova 51. If you're using a lot of 4x8 sheets, standard sheets of stuff, that will be a benefit to have the Nova 51 so that you can be able to slide that sheet through the pass through and use it as a full sheet, and be able to process it easier, not have to cut it down first. So there's definitely something to be said for having the 51 if you were going to deal with a lot of full sheets of material.
But in terms of space taken, is there a big difference?
The Nova 35 80 watt is 1500 millimeters or 150 centimeters or 1550. I can't read that. Let me open it
1500.
up. 1500. Okay, yeah, if I click them, they'll enlarge there. And then the Nova 51 is 1900.
So 40 centimeter difference.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. But by moving it in terms of weight, I think one is close to 1,000 pounds and the other it's about 700 or something like that.
Yeah, the Nova 3580 is 761 gross. So the crate, and everything is 761. The machine itself is 682. The Nova 51 is 946 pounds alone, and the box is just over 1,000 pounds.
So for the 51, how do they move them when they have to move? For example, in my case, I will have to go around. I don't think people can carry it. I will have to use a bobcat. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's crated, so you could use any sort of a bobcat with some forks on it would be a perfect solution for that. Yes.
Okay. It cannot be trailed on the grass. It will be too.
Right, unless you put down some dowels or pipes or something and roll it across on it. Yeah.
Yeah, if you put some boards down, there's a lady in our group did that. She had to roll it from the front to the back workshop that she built. They just put a bunch of boards and just rolled it on those boards.
Oh, okay.
Are you talking she uncrated it first and then rolled it?
Yeah, uncrated first. Yeah, uncrated.
Yeah, we're talking about in the crate. You could get a couple of.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking, get some sections of 3-inch PVC or whatever you have laying around and lay them down and just roll it with the crate, right across the grass. I've had some limited success moving large objects that way. Buildings usually, though, pulling them with a truck. But
Do you know if the lead time for a 51 will be shorter than a 35, or it's the same?
honestly, I would not have any idea. One of the sales team guys would
Grants?
probably
Oh, no, that's
know.
Glenn. Right.
Yeah, that's Glenn. Well, Grant or Rebecca or Cheyenne would be able to answer that a lot more accurately for you.
Okay. And does they have a milliamp meter? You know, to see the milliamps.
It does, but it's in the rear of the machine on the power supply.
And do you have to look at that often or not?
No, that's why we mount it in the back, because our power supplies are calibrated to the tube. So even at 100%, it will not exceed the maximum current rating of the tube.
Thank you very much. This was my key questions.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you have anything else, please feel free to jump in.
If I could give you a little thing on my delivery of my 51 that helped me accidentally. The company wouldn't lift gate it. That ended up getting it from Roadrunner Freight. They said they wouldn't do it. I paid a tow, not really a tow truck company, a company that delivers a lot of wood. They'll deliver trusses, they deliver all that kind of stuff. So they have one of those 3-wheel skids on the back of their truck. They picked it up at the dock for me, and they pretty much put it in my front door. I mean, that guy, he was really good, and it didn't cost much at all. It was I think a little over $100, and they picked it up from the loading dock. They brought it to my house, pulled it off on one of those 3-wheels, things that they lift pallets of plywood and stuff like that with, and just about stuck it in my front door. So that might be a suggestion for you.
Yeah, I know where I order my plywood, so I can ask them.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. If you whoever you order your plywood from, they may go and pick it up for you if you're using a lot of stuff.
But I understood, talking to Grant, that the delivery, including bringing it to the residence, was included in the.
It is, but I chose to not wait because the company Thunder Laser was going to take care. They would take care of everything, make sure it got to my door. But I wanted it. I wanted it now. So
this conference will now be recorded.
Specifically because of being able to put sheet goods in it and being able to cut the sheet goods as well. So cutting 3/4 inch thick plywood is no problem, and you stick the whole sheet in there and cut it. And what I found is having the larger dimensions, the capable of doing larger jobs helps to get you jobs over, we'll say, the Glowforge crowd or something, right? Where a person that's got a Glowforge that might actually be in business cutting things, right? I can cut bigger, thicker things than anyone with a Glowforge or a little Chinese K40. So it helps to differentiate you in the market on some of your capabilities. You're not competing with the people that are cutting the 1/8 inch, little trinkets and stuff.
Thank you. So you do not regret your decision of going for the 51?
No. If they had one that I could feed it through sideways to where I could just lay the whole sheet on there, that was might would have went with that one. Saw a guy was selling a used Titan recently, not far from me, and I probably would have bought that.
And in terms of power of the tube, what do you advise?
So my thoughts was go with bigger the better, right? If there's a chance you're going to be cutting anything thicker like that, obviously more power helps, right? You can cut with less power and cut slower, right? But I was planning on cutting thicker things pretty often. I'd rather be running at a faster rate and maybe a little bit less power than pushing the tube every time I needed to cut it if I'm pushing it close to its rating. So I went with 130 watt.
But for the engraving, because I have a CNC.
Yep. I have a CNC as well. I moved it out of the way, stuck it in the corner, and piled stuff on top of it. And considering getting rid of it, I think Robert is the same. Robert's got a CNC he's getting rid of and looking at buying a second laser. Are you, Robert?
Yeah, I think he's already bought a second laser.
Yeah, I've already ordered it.
Yep. Yeah. So that being said, my lasers replace the CNC.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I do 90% of the work I used to do on my CNC on my laser now.
Including 3D curving?
No, not well. 2.5D, yes, but not 3D, no.
Okay.
It's possible to do 3D relief using the grayscale depth maps, of converted STLs. You can dial it in right and get rid of most of the striations, but that CNC is usually going to give you a lot better finish on that stuff because you can see where the raster, where the lines are, and you can dial that in a lot. I've been practicing doing some on acrylic, and it seems to do a whole lot better than say birch or even natural woods. So I'm having some pretty good success doing 3D relief in acrylic. And getting some different contrast. So,
Babachi, I'm guessing is talking full 3D though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Acrylic because of the sublimation, maybe.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to look at that, I've got an article somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Well, after that little cutout, it's messed up my screen share, so I'll have to fix that. I'm not going to play with it right now. I don't want to break anything.
So back to your point about engraving, is you'll see and hear a lot of stuff about how you can't engrave as well with the higher wattage tubes, right? You take Chris Lacasio, right, with House of Lasers. He's got a 51-100. He can engrave better detail than I've seen most people with that 100-watt tube. There is limitations, right? Your beam size. If you've got a dialed in 30-watt laser, it will have a smaller beam size if set up, equivalently. But with the 130 with the high resolution lens, and I've also bought a set of the American Photonics lenses with their 1.5 inch. I can engrave finer detail than I can even see, right? That I can even notice any difference in. So with the 130 watt, probably the only drawback I've seen to the higher wattage, I see there's one that David's putting up the details, right? The only drawback I've seen is if I was trying to do very low powered on painted tile, where I'm just trying to etch off just one layer of paint on that painted tile to get a multicolor, my striking voltage on there, so my threshold to switch the laser on might be a little bit much on the 130 with a very thin layer of paint there. It's a little bit aggressive. But with just a single layer of paint, right? I take a white tile and paint it black. I can etch it off and no problem. If I'm painting multiple layers and trying to etch through and see different colors, then it's been a little bit more problematic. But that's the only drawback I've seen.
Thank you.
Yep. Hey, Chris, how you doing? We had a snafu a little while ago, and the meeting kicked out. So hopefully you weren't on the first time.
Nah, I was late. I had to get off work and then show up.
Awesome. Well, this is Chris. If you don't know him, Chris Myers, and he's part of the support team. So it's good to have him on there today. So if you have any questions, fire away. Test him out. I bet you he'll have an answer for you. So.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Yeah, how you doing?
Hey, I have another problem with my glow forge. Could you kind of help me with that?
With your glow forge?
Yeah.
I got Jeremy. Yes.
So again, if anybody's new on here, or even if you're not, if you have a question, just jump right in and interrupt, or we'll just sit here and talk all day long.
So I see that you have a buffer memory on the RUIDI controller of 128 meg. Is that a limitation? Could this be increased when we order it?
No, it cannot. That's a set. That embedded memory, it cannot be changed, and it's surprisingly a lot for the kind of information that it's getting, because that's a proprietary language for that controller once it gets there. So it can actually hold quite a bit. It is a good idea to keep that memory clean. Otherwise, it can act up if it gets too full. But typically, we don't have too many problems with that.
I've not seen any problems. I tend to clean it more just because it's easier to manage running through the files if you've got 1 or 2 on it versus 20.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of instances where people just run the programs and leave them in there, and then their production staff just goes through and selects. So if it's something that you run regularly, you don't have to feel like you have to clear it out after you're done. You know, that's what the memory is there for. You just don't want to pile it up with anything unnecessary, basically. So.
But you use the computer or through a USB key?
You can do both. You can operate the laser tethered to the computer, or you can use a thumb drive and be untethered as well.
And you can also clear the memory and start the job, you know, from the computer or local at the laser as well.
Right.
Hey, Bachi, you were asking about the photo, and I showed that one. That's a 6x6 ceramic tile. That's no paint. That's great, engraved directly into the tile itself. That's with the 2-inch lens, the standard lens that it comes with. But on the other side, here is I'm not running any air right now, so because I'm wanting a certain effect. But that's this is a Nova 63. That's a 44-inch wide sheet of plywood. It's engraving about 2 millimeters deep.
Wow. And you have 130 watts.
Yes, I've got the 130 watt.
Thank you.
What kind of power were you running on that tile?
On the tile?
Yeah.
That was speed 180, power of 20, Jarvis dithering.
Okay. So probably a good bit more power than people would use on a piece of birch for a photo engrave or maple or whatnot.
Yeah, I've not done real good with engraving photos on wood yet, but I haven't put a whole lot of effort towards it.
I got a rotary question, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. We got your guy right here.
I know. I've seen him come on. It's actually probably more of a light burn question, though. I don't think it's not a problem with the rotary. The rotary's working great, but every once in a while I'll go in and I think the rotary's messing up, and I'll have like a weird something going on, and I'll look, and in my light burn settings, it'll change. Like some of the settings will just change in it from one job to another without doing anything. Maybe that's already been addressed in this new update or something, but because I haven't done anything with it since the new update.
Well, what do you mean settings change? What settings?
Let me open it up, and I'll just, of course, my terminology isn't quite there, but I'll give you the steps. So when I go,
you're talking about in the rotary setup where you
in the rotary
rotation,
yeah,
and all of that stuff. Did you hit read? Did you hit read from the controller and make sure that it read? Because that data when you pull that window up, it should automatically read. It should refresh the data when you open that typically, but it has to read from the controller's memory to get those configuration files and make changes to them, and then it has to write it back to the controller. So if what you're telling me is you're making settings changes in there and they're not sticking, they may not be being written back to the controller.
Okay, so so what do I do in that case? Because what's happening is literally I can shut the light burn down completely and reopen it, and my steps per rotation haven't changed. Roller diameter hasn't changed, and then I'll do a job, and then I'll go back to do it again, and I'll realize that the steps per rotation's just like changed, and that's what's kind of weird.
I had an issue like that yesterday. A lady called me, the Thunder user as well, but and I actually did the team viewer remoted into her computer and was checking stuff, and I had a problem in Lightburn doing the exact same thing, where you close out of it, you go back into it, it loads up, as soon as we dropped a file or any kind of artwork on the platen, as soon as we dropped something on there, we'd go to check the settings, and the settings were not
reverted.
Yeah,
reverted
not the
or
same.
just arbitrary.
It just arbitrary. It's just arbitrary numbers. Then
Okay.
I went into it to change it. I read it, changed it, sent it. I read it again. It reverted back to some arbitrary number. I had to do that 2 or 3 times before it actually stuck. Once it stuck, it didn't go away. But that was, I don't know if that's a glitch in the system. I thought it might have just been maybe just a communication error with her machine and her computer. But if it sounds like other people are having similar issues, there might be something in the coding that might be conflicting or something somewhere.
I'll need to check on mine too, but when I did the upgrade to 21, I noticed that my steps went from 44 to 12,000.
Yep.
That was weird.
That's
and
a
then I
huge.
shut everything.
12,000, I think, is what the factory default is, because for the chuck rotaries, they're either 12 or 16, depending on which motor they've got on them.
Yeah,
so
I made
that
sure it
sounds
was
to
on
me
the
like it
roller.
just reverted back to the Thunder default, which that doesn't necessarily mean there's a problem with Lightburn. The problems they were having with Lightburn were in the Mac environment on a specific OS, and it had to do with some other things that are totally unrelated to that. But
yeah,
so don't
no,
just assume
actually,
everything that happens is a Lightburn problem. But
actually,
yeah.
You bring that up. Actually, she did have a Mac. Speaking of which, so maybe that was Mac specific. I don't know.
And it's patched. If you haven't gotten that latest update, I posted it, I think, to all the groups that I could think about.
This was way before the update. This was many days before the update that this happened.
I got you.
And
why don't you
it would go
put in
like right now? I just
Mhm.
looked at it at 360 steps per rotation, and my sweet spot was basically 4100.
Okay.
It would
Well,
save.
let's do this. Let's do a remote session. I'll get you to sign up for a 30-minute remote session, and let me remote in, and I'll record it, and we can hopefully capture what's going on, and that way I can forward it to Lightburn so they have some real good data on what's happening.
Okay.
Mine
He's doing
mine defaulted to 360 from what I set it at yesterday. Actually, I just looked at it, and it I think I had it at 2900.
Okay.
So it's showing 360 as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me get with Glenn. Well, I'll just put the link out there. Let me pull it up real quick for the 30-minute remote session. If you want to get in there and get one too, we can look at yours, Caleb, if you want to do that as well.
It probably behooved to go talk to Jason and see if anything that he's made major changes on would change the fact, because not only Thunder but other rotary or other laser platforms are having the same issues with. They were having one number, and then as soon as they did the update, their numbers went way out to lunch, and they had to redo them.
I'll go back and look in the beta thread and see what all the changes were, and see if any of that was part of it. And I'll look through the forums and see if there's anything else reported. But either way, we'll get it figured out, or at least get it over to them and throw the ball in their court and see if they have anything on it or not.
Brian, I'm still on 20, so I haven't updated mine yet.
Oh, okay.
And
all right,
I'm having that same issue, so I don't know if it'd be update related or what.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think.
I don't really think it's update related.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
But I mean, they still, it'd be worth a support ticket to Lightburn. Maybe they can help us figure it out, because it may be something weird. None of our stuff has changed. I mean, it's not even commonplace. We don't even send out, firmware upgrades like you do with a lot of things. You always have to upgrade firmware, and this is not one of them. So there hadn't really been any changes to the system at all, probably in a long time. So.
Well, I nominate Chris to do this for us, since he's not paying attention.
I almost feel like it's definitely only in Lightburn. The only reason I say that is because I won't even do anything to my machine, and like Jason said, when I start messing with a file or I start doing something, And then, so I just got in the habit of checking it right before I send it, and then checking it again after I send it. And as long as it didn't change, then it's fine. But
Gotcha.
yeah, so it's happening like while I'm working on something.
Okay.
It's
I see.
It's really
Well, let's
strange,
try to capture that. I just put a link to sign up for a remote session in there, and there's 2 calendars. Chris has one and I have one. His is usually evenings and weekends, and mine's more banker hours and things like that during the day. So you can choose whatever time is best for you. Just don't pick 2. Don't double up on us, or we'll just shut the page down. So
Hey, quick one along those lines, Brian.
Yeah.
So just opened a 9.21 on my machine here that I've never actually even plugged into the laser. The default in the rotary, I've never set it up. The default is 360 millimeters per rotation right now. First time I've ever opened it. So I don't know if it's changed what the default is, and it's just going back to default.
Okay, perfect. That helps. I'll make sure I include that in the documentation.
Yeah, and that's the same for the chuck, the roller, any of them. It's 360 millimeters per rotation by default.
Okay.
Now, have you all gone in the machine settings and actually performed a read to actually update that value in the machine settings?
Well, what I'm saying on this particular machine, I've never even plugged it. I just design on this upstairs. It's not even plugged into my laser. So, and
yeah,
never has been.
That's an offline value. I mean,
it's never been set before, so it could be anything.
Yeah.
I just plugged mine back up. Like I didn't actually have the rotary plugged into the laser, and it went back to the setting I had set it at from 360 to 2900.
Okay.
So I don't know, Glenn, if you're checking it before you hook everything up or what, but
click the read button if you're in there and just have it read the controller info again.
I just did that on mine, and it put it to 4156 millimeter roller diameter.
Is that what you had it set at?
I believe so. Okay. I gotta check my roller diameter again.
Yeah, see, what you may be seeing, is like Chris said, you're seeing an offline value because it hasn't read from the controller yet.
Mm-hmm. Just the default one, and I'm checking that on another machine. Yeah.
Like if you're trying to do multi-tube, it handles that differently if you're not connected to the machine because it needs to read the machine data. And I would guess that's part of it too, is reading the rotary axis data as well.
Yep.
I don't have to have the rotary actually plugged in for it to read it, correct? No. It's inside the Roita. Whatever that is.
You connected over USB or the ad hoc Ethernet connection.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. So I guess maybe what I'm just maybe I missed a step or something. When I go to use the rotary, should I always just open the rotary setup and just hit read settings and then start going from there?
Shouldn't have to.
Shouldn't have to. Okay.
Let's do that support remote session.
Yeah, for
anyway,
sure. Okay.
And actually go through it and see if we can capture what's going on. And that way we can kind of get a handle on it.
Okay, I'll try and set that up tomorrow if there's time available.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay.
All right. And hey, Cheyenne, good to see you on here. Glad you could make it.
Hi. I'm glad I'm here.
She is on the sales team and support team, client support. And I think someone had a question earlier about shipping.
Would you look at that?
I'm going to throw you right under the bus.
Breaking up.
I have bad connection.
Where's Bachi at?
Yeah, he's still here. But Guy and Bachi was wanting to know, I think you or somebody told him in the office that 35 was taking about 4 months. If you ordered a 51, would it be there in a month?
Or 2 weeks. A month or 2 weeks.
Don't push your luck, Jeremy. A month's more accurate. Shine's like, let me get back to you in 2 weeks.
Hey, when I ordered my Nova 63, it was 6 weeks. I had it in hand 2 years ago.
David, I had mine in 2 weeks. Airdropped. That was quick.
I just had the grant over the phone, and he told me that the 51 was early July.
Shine's new. We're already putting our corrective.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't really have anything else. Hey, look, I almost got all the way through it without having to stumble for some content.
So I do have another sales question. So I saw some tentative pricing. I saw some commercials on fiber. We getting close? Have any guesstimates?
Yeah, I think we've been FDA approved. Can I say that? I guess I can.
Just did.
I just
Yeah,
did.
you can.
Yeah.
So we're working on. I think Cheyenne may know a little bit more, but I think we're working on some logistics to get some of the machines over here so we can place a few of them and start getting the ball rolling. We don't have all the forward facing documentation and all of that stuff out. That's why I was a little bit hesitant with promotional materials and data and things like that. But why not?
That's fine. I still haven't looked at any of the stuff on the one I bought or set up a remote session or any of that yet. So,
so saving it for a rainy day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has. Go ahead.
So Brian, I'm looking at tomorrow, kind of like afternoon area. Is there a time you want me to stay away from for lunch for you?
Nah,
I mean, it's no
it's
problem
you
for
can
me.
take
So
it.
okay, all right, thank you.
I don't eat lunch.
I was going to say, Thunder let you eat lunch? What?
Hey, Shine wanted to say something. Go ahead, Shine.
What? Hi.
I've got a question real quick about Lightburn on Macs.
Okay.
I'm sure it's probably just me, but every time I try to open it, it always says that Lightburn can't be verified, and I have to go into the security and take 5 clicks to say it loaded anyway, and it's every single time I turn it on. Is there some quick fix around that?
Yeah, you can add it as an exception, so it will bypass that from now on and just open. You can add an exclusion in your security or privacy settings. I'm not a Mac aficionado, so someone else may have more precise instruction, but there is a way to do that. Yep. And I think there's a Lightburn article on it.
Yeah, there's a Lightburn article on it. You'll have to do it anytime you download a new update, though you will still have to do it that initial time because it's a new the Lightburn development. Right, when you download it from their GitHub, it's not certified or verified in Mac's system, so you will have to do that anytime you download a new update. But it shouldn't be every time you open it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And I'll post the link. I just found the link in the Mac Users Guide on how to do that, and I'll post the Lightburn article in the forum about it as well. And that way you can refer to that if you need to.
Okay, thanks so much.
Sure. Oops, my battery's beeping.
So, Chris, were you going to do the rotary document, or was that Brian that was going to do it?
What's that?
The rotary document, were you going to do it, or did you pass it on to Chris?
The rotary document.
Like how to take care of those adjustments. I guess you're going to have a call with, who was that you were going to help out?
Glenn. You can do the one on the support 30-minute session, 2 calendars, if that's what you're referring to.
Oh, okay. So, but sorry, what I meant was that you'll publish like a document afterwards, something that here's what we found out, because I'm getting something similar like Glenn. It's just the numbers are kind of funked up.
Oh, yeah. In regard to that anomaly that's being reported, yeah, I'll do an article on that and report what we find.
Okay, perfect.
Did you hear about what we discussed earlier with when you're online with the machine versus just developing at your desk inside? Like I opened up my Lightburn during this call, and sure enough, it says 360, blah, blah, blah. If I go connect to my machine, it's going to update and read that value. But if that's not done, you can definitely look at it on a remote session and pull it out.
Gotcha. No, it's the machine is connected to the, sorry, not machine, the Lightburn laptop is connected to the machine. So It should always, it's always been the same. It's just after the 21, it was weird. It wasn't doing a full circle. It was doing like a half a circle or a quarter circle. And I ended up having to bump the value up to 12,000 before it did a full circle around a 86 millimeter cup. And then I was like, that's not right. So I shut everything down, started all over again. That number became like 5,000 something. I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah, that's definitely one where if we can make it repeatable, it'll be easy to send information over and get that fixed. If y'all haven't noticed, the .22 updates out too. They started updating to that from 0.21. So if you're on 0.1.
Yeah, I saw that Brian post. I'll take care of it today just to test it, see if that maybe was a glitch. Great, and I'll report back too.
Hey, quick one. What were the numbers there? It's not something as simple as like conversion from millimeters per rotation to inches. It's not a factor of 25.4, is it?
Jeremy, was that for me or was that a question of Brian?
Yeah. What were your numbers that you said? Awesome.
Oh, the original number that works well was like 4,400 something, I think. The second time around when it wasn't working, I bumped it all the way up to 12,300 and something before it did a full circle around an 86 millimeter cup.
Okay.
So I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So I shut everything down. The typical, have you tried rebooting it? So started all over again, and this time it was like 5,100 and something. It's like something's still off. And I could tell it's just even the graphic wasn't coming out right.
All right.
Ted? Oh, I got shit to do. Got so many little things too. Just cold stuff. Good.
I have a couple of short questions, if I can.
Okay. And real quick, if I could get everybody to mute if you're not actively
The air
talking.
regulator, what size should you put for the air regulator? 1/4 or 3/8?
Are you talking about the threads for the regulator? The
Yes.
1/4 inch NPT is typically what we use.
And the second, do you need a 20 amp dedicated power plug for the 51,130 watt?
Absolutely.
And will this include the chiller?
Yeah, hang on just a second. If y'all would, please mute your microphones if you're not actively talking. We're getting a lot of feedback. Thank you. I'm sorry, Gotchi, go ahead.
Will this include the chiller?
Yes, it includes the chiller, the fan, everything you need to run it is in the crate.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Hey Brian, I got a question, I guess, along the lines of the plug. So my understanding is that the chiller is connected to the laser,
correct,
or powered on by the laser.
It is.
Okay, I got a 35-100, so my understanding is that it sticks out a little bit more. Am I able to put the chiller on the right side of the machine?
Absolutely. We have an adapter, or you can make it yourself. You just need to lengthen the tubing because that comes with 1 meter tubing. Let me change here. Let's see if I can get screen one. Let's see. Oops. Where'd it go? I'm here. I'm sorry, I lost track.
The extension cable kit and tubing.
Yeah, there we go. So you need a 2 meter, and we've got those if you want to get one, and that can allow you to relocate the chiller underneath that extension on the right hand side of the machine. But yeah, you can absolutely do that. There's the two 8 by 12 millimeter silicone tubing, that goes for the inlet and the outlet, and then there's one two wire cable, alarm connection cable. And that's just 2 wires. You could literally cut it in half and splice it like you would a stereo speaker.
Okay.
If you need to make it longer, or we have 2 meter long ones that are pre-assembled. You could unsolder the connections and actually make the wire longer if you wanted, from that one that comes with it. But Yeah,
Okay.
it's the stuff that's sent from the, as it's sent to you, it's not long enough to get the chiller under the right-hand side without making those cables twice as long in that tubing.
Okay, but you do have the kits available?
Yes.
Okay, and then also along with Bocce's question about the 20 amp plug, so the laser and the chiller have to be on its dedicated plug. If I need to add a compressor, would that need to be in its separate?
I would put it on a separate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2 separate circuits.
Two separate. If you're going to run an external compressor, it's best to have it on its own circuit, or at least not on the same circuit as the laser.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Especially when the compressor's kicking on, when it's cycling, right? Depending on your setup, right? If you don't, when your compressor cycles on, you'll see the rush of current in, and your voltage drop. So if your compressor kicks on and your lights flicker, right, or you table saw you start, your lights flicker a little bit, that's going to adjust the voltage to the laser, which you might start seeing issues in your design where the power supply to your laser fluctuates when your compressor comes on and off. So you want to make sure it's on a dedicated one.
Okay.
And Brian, follow up on Andy's. Did you guys on the new machines take away the flow alarm? Remember the little flow unit that used to be in the older machines? Is that no longer there?
I think that was in the Mars units, but yeah, we haven't had a water flow sensor on board since I can remember. It may have been on the older ones.
It was still there 5 years ago because my Nova has it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just making sure. I saw the new 51 and I was telling the user, hey, you might want to get that. So I was showing like, wait, it's not there. Well, yeah. What?
Well,
it's in the chiller now.
The chiller alarm cable, we're using the alarm trigger from the chiller itself to signal the laser if there's a problem. So we don't need to have one internally.
Okay, cool. So what's the solution around in case that trigger sets off? Do you just replace the whole chiller, or is there a replacement inside the chiller for that?
Well, that trigger, that signal coming out of the chiller is part of the electronics of the chiller. So, I mean, if there's a problem with the chiller, you'd have to fix it, whatever it may be, if that's what.
It can be bypassed too, if need be.
It can be, but.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're in a pinch, it can be, and if you feel the need, you can go research it yourself. I'm not gonna.
Well, I made an article about it.
Did you? Okay.
Not going to tell you how to jumper out the alarm, permissive, right? But
yeah.
It can be done.
It can be done in a pinch, because otherwise you're dead in the water until you get it fixed. So.
Yeah.
But you just got to make sure that you don't lose water, because you'll burn up your tube.
Yeah. And here's a little more info on that cable. See, we even give the specifications and the connectors. The units come with a 1 meter long one, and I've even got the schematics of the pinouts or whatever for it. So there's quite a bit of information on here for finding that kind of stuff. And there is a thing in here somewhere on how to disable the water protect. I don't know if I put it in it's on the YouTube channel if you just have to do it. There's a big disclaimer with it. All right. Well, I tell you, it's 4, and I probably ought to jump off here. Does anybody else have any quick questions? Hey, Tim, sorry, man. Good to see you. Kind of caught us toward the end on that one. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. I actually remembered it, and I'm like, they're not still here, but I clicked on. I've been busy.
Gotcha. Well, does anybody else have anything? I've got a few more minutes if anybody has any questions.
I got a quick question, if good.
Sure. Absolutely.
Surmark, is that, or the other sprays like that, does that last like a long time, or does it wash off in the dishwasher? Or?
It's indelible. It bonds at the molecular level to the substrate. It is an additive process, but it does bond at the molecular level if applied and processed correctly, and it's indelible.
Yeah, Surmark's really good. It's a very bold and kind of embossed. It leaves like an embossed feeling.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for something a little bit more elegant and kind of not so pronounced, I guess, as far as the texture, you got Enduramark, and I think Laser Bright or something like that.
Yeah, Laser Bond and Brilliance.
But
I've tested Enduramark and Brilliance, but
Yeah, Surmark I use if I want some real texture to it and a real deep black, and then if I want something a little bit more elegant, more just kind of like a surface color, then I use the Enduramark, and they also have like a gray, a diamond dust, which is kind of like a reflective material, and the black, and they've been working on other stuff too, but those are the only ones I know of offhand.
Yeah, and then there's Heaves marking inks. They do some pretty weird stuff, and they're also expensive, but not really. I mean, it's pennies per application if it's applied right, but it's sticker shock when you buy $100 rattle can of a spray.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help that it comes out of Australia either.
Yeah. Then the nozzle don't work and nothing comes out.
Sorry?
I said then the nozzle doesn't work and nothing comes out.
Yeah.
For $100. And then on the 51, 130, or 100, there's no extension tube on that, right? It's all enclosed in the.
Right.
Okay. I ran into a deal on a fiber laser MOPA 60 watt near me, so I think I'm going to jump on it, which is going to delay my CO2 laser a little bit so I get the funds back up, but.
Right. Yeah, well, you'll have fun with that MOPA if it doesn't drive you insane first.
Yeah, he's not far, so he said he'll help me learn the ropes and.
Oh, that'll help for sure.
Software and stuff and all the little twerky things that he's learned over the years.
Right.
Yeah, yep. I'm excited.
Yep. Yeah, you just got to buy more guns to be able to test it out on.
Yeah. Right.
Has anybody found? I use the Brilliance over Brilliant. Do you have any other chemicals you guys have used? Like, say you screw up a cup and you want to clean it off. I can always just respray with Brilliance. That stuff's expensive.
Well, if you get just a Windex, a cheap Windex or something, I use ammonia-free Windex or the knockoff brand from the dollar store. Big old bottle of it, and use a magic eraser. You spray it on there a little bit, let it sit for a minute, spray it again, and wipe it off, and it comes right off.
And that's post laser. You'll clean it up that way.
Yeah. Okay. After it's done, because you can get Totally Awesome, you can get
I got that
Brilliance or whatever. I mean, you can get a bunch of different things, but the least evasive stuff I could find that works efficiently is Windex. It doesn't stink. It doesn't leave residue and stuff on your hands and whatnot. It's easy to clean up and be done with it.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, I can respray it with Brilliance and wipe the existing stuff right back off, but that's expensive.
Yeah.
Sometimes $40 Yetis. I hate doing them.
Yeah. Well, what I do usually what I do is once I get them off the laser, I'll spray them. I'll put a thin mist of spray on them and set them aside. Go on to the next cup, start it running, come back. By the time I come back, after I start the next cup, I'll come back to the cup that I sprayed, hit it again real quick, and then take a magic eraser and then wipe it all off. By the time I'm done doing that, the next cup's done, and just keep going through a cycle like that.
I mean, I'm talking about like removing the lasered portion, not the residue. On rinse off.
Yeah.
Like, they're talking about if you messed up a design and want to erase it and start over.
Yeah.
Oh, if you messed up a design?
Yeah. Well,
and you want to strip the cup?
Yeah. So chuck the cup up in the rotary and get you some 1,000 grit sandpaper and turn that sucker on wide open.
Well, if you're trying to strip the cup, the easiest way is just to get you some paper towels and some MEK or something from Lowe's or Home Depot. Wet the towels, wrap it up, and then cover it in foil and let it sit there for a few hours. And basically, that stuff will just slough right off of it.
Okay. Like I said, the Brilliance, I mean, it's like quick spray and wipes right off, but that stuff's too expensive to be messing with.
But maybe I'm misunderstanding what you're talking about.
I've got a cup. I lasered it. It's not what I wanted, or I'm doing a demo for, you're trying to produce business by doing somebody's logo for them, show them, what you can do, but you want to keep that cup. So I want to get all that black mark back off, and I want to do it quickly without.
Oh.
He wants to erase his whiteboard.
But you just takes what I do is I take 2-inch masking tape, put it around it, laser it at like 300 millimeters a second at maybe 6 or 8% power, just to get a rough burn on the tape itself, not burning through it, but just a rough burn to get the size and the image and everything. And then that way you have indefinite, canvas to work off of.
Okay.
I have one more quick question, Brian. If
Sure.
So I watched your video yesterday on USB transferring the job to the laser. Just curious, what I take it you use those plugs or cutouts from something to weigh down your material from warping? Look like cylinders in your laser?
Oh no, those were core samples. Those were tests of some synthetic stone
Okay.
that I'm doing some testing on.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you were using them to weight down your.
No, I just threw them over to the side. I just didn't take them out of view.
Gotcha.
I forgot to clean up my workspace.
Gotcha.
So
I was gonna be like, where'd you get those from?
right. All right. Well, I guess I'll jump off of here. It's 4:08, and I'll get this posted. I'll have to stitch them together on those recordings. So this one's gonna be a little funny where we had that little interruption, but it should still be good. And hopefully we'll see you guys next week.
Have a good one.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.